In the last episode of this series, we began to discuss the ankle joint. The tibia and the fibula connect on either side of the talus bone to form the ankle joint, which only really allows backward and forward movement of the talus. Just like a wheel functions best when its axle is 90 degrees to forward, we want the axis of rotation of the talus bone to be 90 degrees to forward. But how can we know when our ankle joint is 90 degrees to forward? If you feel around on your ankle, you will find a large bump on the outside. That's a malleolus. You will find another large bump on the inside, and that is another malleolus. These are your malleoli. If we imagine a line going through the two malleoli, that line will tell us which direction our ankle joint is facing. Our goal will be to orient this line 90 degrees to forward. What you will likely find is that your inner malleolus is too far forward and your outer malleolus is too far back, which means the ankle joint is pointed outward. To counter this, we will create the directions to pull the inner malleolus backwards and to pull the outer malleolus forwards. You can first try manually pushing the malleoli of one foot with your hands. But once you understand what you're going for, you can try to make it happen without the assistance of your hands. This is what Jeando Masoero calls screwing the ankle, because we are rotating the ankle, essentially screwing it into its correct orientation. In order to successfully screw your ankle, you will have to rotate your feet as well. Ultimately, your feet will end up looking like this. The outsides of your feet should be straight ahead and parallel, which means that the insides of your feet will not be parallel. If you line up two rulers against the insides of your feet, they will converge. We don't want the front of the feet to touch, though. Instead, you should keep a fist's distance between the heads of the first metatarsals, which are here. To orient your feet like this, you will likely have to move your heels apart. This may sound unusual, and it will certainly feel strange at first, but try experimenting with it. You'll certainly have an easier time keeping the weight of your torso on the inside of your feet as opposed to the outside of your feet if you orient your feet in this way. Try lifting your heels off the ground again, using this positioning of the feet. From Masoero's perspective, in order to use the feet and the legs as a stable base for the torso, we need to stop improperly twisting and bending the legs. Just like we want to unbend our torso so it can fully lengthen, we want to unbend and untwist our legs so that they can fully lengthen too. This image will give you an idea of what is common in the left picture, and on the right you can see what Masoero recommends. By widening the heels so that they are as far apart as the knees and hips, we can create a solid base. Our pelvis will not be cocked to one side if both legs are extended and squared off in this way. The muscles and fascia of the legs will also be stretched into their full length. In order to get your hips, knees, and heels equally apart, we can again rely on our trusty ruler, or really any stick will work. Measure off the distance between your iliac points, which are at the top of the front end of your iliac crests. You can feel your iliac crests sticking out at the front of your hips. We're looking for the top front point of that bone that sticks out. Then use the ruler to help you move your heels to be that same distance apart. Finally, bring the ruler to your knees and move your knees so that they will be just as wide as the iliacs and heels. If your feet are correctly oriented and you have screwed your ankles, you will have a solid base. With this solid base, you can reapply the directions we've made for the torso. Lift the iliacs back and up away from the knees. Lift the upper sternum forward and up while pulling the lower sternum and lower ribs back and up. Lift the ribcage up away from the pelvis. But now that we have the correct position of the feet outlined, we must confront something. This position of the feet is not what F.M. Alexander recommended. In fact, he clearly says that the feet should be angled outward and be at about a 45-degree angle to each other. Why would he say this? Why does Masoero, who is a great admirer of Alexander and his work, disagree with him? Join me next episode, and we will explore that question.